Have you ever pondered where the concept of democracy, the very fabric of modern governance, originated? In the grand tapestry of human civilization, various forms of governance have come and gone, each leaving its unique imprint on the society it served. From the divine rule of pharaohs in ancient Egypt to the hierarchical monarchies of medieval Europe, every society had its own approach to governance. However, none has had such a profound and lasting impact as the concept of democracy. The birthplace of this revolutionary idea, none other than the city-state of Athens, in the heart of ancient Greece, around 507 BC. A place where philosophy and art flourished, where the likes of Socrates and Plato pondered life's deepest questions. Athens was also where the seed of democracy was sown. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before this radical transformation, the Athenian society was not free from the iron grip of tyranny. A series of tyrants, each more oppressive than the last, ruled Athens, their reign characterized by autocracy and despotism. These were men who wielded absolute power. Their word was law, their whims, the destiny of the people they ruled. The concept of a government by the people, for the people, was a distant dream, a whisper in the wind. And yet in the midst of this oppression, the city of Athens was a beacon of culture and intellect. It was a place where the mind was valued above the sword, where the power of thought was celebrated. This intellectual climate, combined with the oppressive rule of the tyrants, created the perfect storm for the birth of a new form of governance, one that would forever change the course of human history. But how did this transition from tyranny to democracy occur? Let's delve deeper into the annals of history. In this era of tyranny, a beacon of hope emerged: Cleisthenes, the father of Athenian democracy. Cleisthenes, born into the powerful Alcmaeonid family, was no stranger to the turbulent politics of Athens. His family was known for their political clout, but it was Cleisthenes who would challenge the status quo and etch his name into the annals of history. As a young man, Cleisthenes watched Athens suffer under the heavy hand of tyranny. He witnessed the rise and fall of rulers, the political machinations and the power struggles that kept the city in a constant state of flux. But rather than succumb to the allure of power, Cleisthenes was moved by a vision of a city governed not by the whims of an individual but by the collective voice of its people. Cleisthenes' rise to power was not a smooth journey. It was fraught with challenges and resistance. However, his conviction and determination saw him through, and he became the Archon, the highest official in Athens, in the late 6th century BC. Once in power, he set his sights on the city's last tyrant, Hippias. Cleisthenes knew that to bring about change, he had to dismantle the existing system. He rallied the Athenians against Hippias, highlighting the cruelty and injustices of his reign. This wasn't a battle fought with swords and shields, but with words and ideas. Cleisthenes was not just a politician, but a strategist. He understood that to overthrow Hippias, he needed the support of the people. So, he proposed a series of reforms, promising to redistribute power and give the citizens a voice in governance. These promises won him the backing of the Athenians, who grew weary of Hippias's rule. The combined efforts of Cleisthenes and the Athenians led to the overthrow of Hippias. It was a victory not just for Cleisthenes, but for the idea of democracy itself. With Hippias overthrown, the stage was set for a radical transformation. The beacon of hope that was Cleisthenes had ignited the spark of democracy, setting Athens on a path that would change the world forever. In the power vacuum that followed Hippias's overthrow, Cleisthenes seized the opportunity to reshape Athenian society. The city-state was ripe for change after the tumultuous reign of tyranny, and Cleisthenes, a nobleman himself, was ready to break the mold. Cleisthenes' reforms were nothing short of revolutionary. He shattered the traditional lines of power, dismantling the 4 tribes that were based on family relations and replacing them with 10 new tribes based on the areas where people lived, not who their ancestors were. This was a bold move designed to dilute the power of the aristocracy and distribute it more evenly among the citizens of Athens. But Cleisthenes didn't stop there. He also established the Council of 500, a body of representatives selected by lot from each of the 10 tribes. This was a radical departure from the past, where power was concentrated in the hands of a select few. Now, ordinary citizens had a seat at the table. They had a voice in the governance of their city-state. They had a stake in the decisions that would shape their lives and the lives of their fellow Athenians. This was the heart of Cleisthenes' vision, the principle of isonomia, or equality under the law. Every citizen, regardless of their wealth or social status, had the same rights and responsibilities. Every citizen had a say in the decisions that affected them. This was a new concept in the ancient world, a bold experiment in governance that turned the traditional power structures on their head. The establishment of democracy in Athens was not a smooth process. There were those who resisted these changes, who clung to the old ways and the old power structures, but Cleisthenes and his supporters stood firm. They believed in the power of the people, in the idea that every citizen should have a voice in the decisions that affected their lives. Thus, democracy was born, but not without its challenges. The birth of democracy in Athens was a significant milestone in human history, a bold experiment that would shape the course of civilizations for centuries to come. Democracy, while revolutionary, was not without its detractors. As Athenians reveled in their newfound political freedom, they faced both internal opposition and external threats that put their democratic experiment to the test. The internal opposition was a significant challenge. Not everyone in Athens was thrilled by the idea of democracy. The wealthy aristocrats, who had been the ruling class, saw this as an erosion of their power. They feared the unpredictability of the masses and the potential for mob rule. They yearned for the stability of an oligarchic rule where power was concentrated in the hands of a few. This resistance from within was a constant threat to the fledgling democracy. Externally, the Persian Wars posed a colossal challenge. The mighty Persian Empire under King Darius and later his son Xerxes saw the small city-state of Athens as a ripe target for expansion. The Persian Wars were a fight for survival, a fight for the very existence of Athenian democracy. But it was also during these wars that the democratic ideals of Athens were solidified. The citizens of Athens, regardless of their social status, fought side by side. The shared experience of war and the collective struggle for survival created a sense of unity and common purpose. The successful defense against the Persian invasions affirmed the value of their democratic governance and fostered a stronger sense of Athenian identity. The challenges of democracy were many and they were formidable. The Athenians had to navigate the treacherous waters of internal dissension and external aggression. They had to defend their city and their ideals against powerful enemies. They had to prove that their radical idea of governance, where power resides in the hands of the many rather than the few, could withstand the test of time. Despite the challenges, democracy persisted and eventually became the model for modern governance. The birth of democracy in Athens left an indelible mark on the world. This revolutionary system of governance, conceived in the heart of ancient Greece, has influenced political landscapes across the centuries, from the Roman Republic to the modern democracies we are familiar with today. Consider Rome, the ancient superpower that looked to Athens for inspiration. The Roman Republic, while not a pure democracy, adopted key elements of the Athenian model. They embraced the idea of a government by the people, with elected officials and a system of checks and balances to prevent the abuse of power. This Roman adaptation of democracy would eventually inspire the political systems of countless future civilizations. Fast forward to modern times, and we see Athenian democracy's fingerprints everywhere. The concept of citizen participation, the very cornerstone of Athenian democracy, is an integral part of democratic nations today. Every time we cast a vote, we echo the actions of the ancient Athenians exercising a right they fought fiercely to establish. Beyond the mechanics of government, Athenian democracy has also bequeathed us enduring values. Equality before the law, freedom of speech, the right to participate in public life. These principles, first championed by the Athenians, are now held as self-evident truths in democratic societies worldwide. Yet the legacy of Athenian democracy is not merely a collection of principles and practices. It is a living, breathing entity that evolves with us. It is a call to action, a reminder that we, the people, have the power to shape our collective destiny. It challenges us to engage, to question, to strive for a better society. So next time you cast a vote or voice your opinion, remember the ancient Athenians who fought for your right to do so. Remember, democracy is not just a system, but a legacy we carry forward.